I was fired on a Monday morning, and by night, I was cleaning floors to survive. A single blood test that night.
Monday morning, 10 minutes. That's all it took for 15 years of my life to evaporate. The words they used were restructuring and alignment. I just heard you're done. I walked out with a cardboard box and a feeling so hollow it echoed with every step. Enjoy poverty. She'd left me months earlier for a man with influence and connections, everything she thought I wasn't. Losing my job felt like the final confirmation she was right all along. The bills piled up. The interviews went nowhere. Soon, the calls stopped coming back. Survival became more important than pride. At 43, I took a job as a janitor. The halls were quiet, and so was I. People don't see you when you're a janitor. They look right through you. I told myself it was temporary, a short-term fix. But weeks bled into months. One night, emptying a trash bin in some executive's office, a sharp piece of metal sliced my hand wide open. Blood soaked through my glove in an instant. I ended up in the emergency room. It was late, almost empty. The nurse handed me a clipboard without much of a glance. I mumbled that I didn't have insurance. She just nodded like she'd heard it 1,000 times before. A young doctor came in, stitched my hand with careful precision, and ordered some routine blood work. I just wanted to go home and forget it ever happened, but then he came back. And he looked unsettled. He started asking strange questions. Questions about my family history, about my parents. Then he brought in another doctor, then a third. They huddled together, speaking in low voices I couldn't quite hear. My DNA, they explained, was a match for a name I recognized instantly. But they assured me with the certainty of science that it wasn't. My father, the man I thought had died when I was just a kid, wasn't who I thought he was. Which meant I was entitled to a legacy no one, least of all me, ever expected me to claim. Before I could even process the shock, my phone started ringing and ringing. And ringing, lawyers, blocked numbers. A flood of messages, all filled with a sudden urgent respect. The same world that had ignored me as a janitor was now desperately trying to get my attention. I turned the phone off and just sat there, in the sterile quiet of the hospital, my mind reeling. She wanted to talk. She said there had been misunderstandings. She said we could fix things. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just listened, and when she was finished, I said no and hung up. The legal process was a marathon. The truth, once buried, was now being unearthed with meticulous care. When it was all done, I walked out with control over something far bigger than just money. I walked out with answers. I saw the man who took my old job a few weeks later. He wouldn't meet my eyes. The executives who fired me suddenly remembered my name, calling me to catch up. I didn't return to that world. I didn't need its validation anymore. Just a peaceful place that was finally mine. I drove to my father's grave, a place I hadn't visited in years. I sat there for a long time and told him that I finally understood. I told him he wasn't forgotten anymore. My ex-wife sent one last message. It wasn't cruel this time. Losing everything taught me a lesson that comfort and success never could. Your value doesn't disappear when your bank account does. It just becomes harder for shallow people to see it. Sometimes life has to strip everything away to show you who you truly are when nothing is left. I still have the scar on my hand. It's a reminder of where I stood that night, invisible and bleeding in an empty hallway. And it's a reminder of how far I've walked to get back on my own terms. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever felt invisible, remember your worth is always there, waiting to be rediscovered. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.